Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you now for the first time from our studios here in Government Center in downtown Winston-Salem. We're so glad you could join us for this program. Our first guest today is going to be talking about something that's been in the news a lot, and that's Medicaid and expanding Medicaid. And we do this with Christa Smith, who's a new director of Forsyth County Department of Social Services. I say new, you're new director, but you've been around for a while.
I have.
We expanded Medicaid back in December, so here we are, January, February timeframe. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Leading up to the December 1st implementation, we really got a great group of people together that are passionate about Medicaid and eligibility work. And we tried to make some changes to our building to make sure we were prepared for the extra foot traffic that we might see. And so we made some adaptations to our lobby functioning. We rolled out a kiosk that allows people to do a pre-check-in and get a number and then be called by number. We're really seeing improvements in our ability to get people timely in front of a person to talk to them and help them with the application.
That is so important. That is so bad. Now also though, for somebody that might be new to the system, or maybe they weren't qualified for the old system or something,
right.
What does expanded Medicaid mean for people now?
Right. So it now means that for the first time in North Carolina, an adult who is working that does not have a disability, does not have children, may be eligible for Medicaid. And so it's going to be really important for people to apply or at least check their eligibility. We have a website, so they don't even need to come into our office to check that or to do the application.
Okay.
That website is epass.nc.gov.
All right, say it one more time.
epass.nc.gov.
Now, of course, with increased foot traffic and doing all the things you're doing to service people, it's got to be a little bit of a strain on your office. And this is the era we're in of staffing shortages for everybody: police, fire, industry, public, private sector. What are you doing to make up for this?
Right. Well, we've been really blessed to have the support of our county management and our county commissioners. They approved an additional 33 positions at the beginning of this fiscal year. So we have been working to fill those, and we have filled about 85% of those positions.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's wonderful. We've been able to fill the positions. We're working on training those people, and so hope to have them deployed and helping us process some of these applications in the next couple months.
You mentioned online. Let me circle back to that. What kind of programs can be accessed online without having to come into the office?
Absolutely. So Medicaid is not the only program. We also can do food and nutrition applications, which are also known as food stamps, and energy assistance applications can be done online.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a personal question. What kind of gratification do you get from your job working in this particular field? I know we didn't rehearse this, and I'm just throwing it to you, but
Right.
What do you get personally from this?
Yeah. So in my position now, I get the satisfaction of being able to ensure that the people who are serving the residents of Forsyth County have the resources that they need, right? So it's really nice to to have a background in budget and finance, as well as a background in social work and eligibility determination, because it helps me stay in touch with what the needs are in terms of financial resources, but also people resources. And so that's where I get my day-to-day satisfaction.
That's great. Before we run out of time, I'm also curious, if you had a crystal ball here, what are you looking for the rest of 2024 and beyond?
Yeah. So we're having some great conversations with our Health and Human Services companion departments, public health, behavioral health, the Family Justice Center,
Right.
about how do we really combine our resources and make our Health and Human Services campus functional so that when people show up, they can get help wherever they are with whatever their Health and Human Services needs are. And so I'm really excited that we're going to be rolling into some strategic planning and redesigning of that campus to meet those needs.
That's just great. And one more time, say the website.
epass.nc.gov.
All right. Or they can just call you at home. We'll just put up your phone. No, I won't
Absolutely.
do that. No, I won't do that. Christa, thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
Forsyth County has children from birth to teens, single children, and sibling groups looking for a brighter day that can only come from being paired with a foster family. Across our community, there are children who live under the dark clouds of abuse and neglect who end up in the care of the Department of Social Services. Open your home and your heart. Help our children discover a brighter day. Call 336-703-2445 or online at forsyth.cc. Search Foster and Adopt.
Back out at Forsyth County Connections, we welcome back to the show a very special person who does great work in the community. Maura Trimble is Forsyth County Public Health Nurse Supervisor for Communicable Disease. Good to see you.
You too, Jim. Thank you so much for having me back.
And I'm glad that neither of us has a communicable disease.
Me too.
But if we did, you'd be the expert on it. All right, we're in the throes. I mean, you know, before we talked about, oh, COVID this and COVID that. Now we're in the throes of a respiratory virus season. When did that season begin? How long will it last? Bring me up to speed.
Sure. So respiratory virus season is, prior to COVID, was really flu season. Now with the addition of COVID and another, some of the RSV, which is another virus, it's a seasonal virus. Respiratory virus season actually starts October 1st and runs through about April. So fall and winter months and early spring.
Right. And now, are there other viruses that are within this season, that particular viruses?
So the CDC monitors the flu and COVID and RSV, but then there are other viruses out there as well, like common cold viruses too. So it's we just track some of the larger ones.
All right. So when you say track larger ones, does that mean you track all the flu and COVID? The rate of how many people are getting those, or what?
Right. Early on with COVID, we had the opportunity to have actual test numbers from people. But as home tests came along, then we sort of lost some of that capacity to have that demographic. And so now it's really looking at other factors like hospital admissions, and then also wastewater. Wastewater now is one of our leading
I was getting ready to
indicators.
ask you about that. You sent me an email and I said, is Maura crazy? Am I reading this right? And it says something about wastewater monitoring. I said, wait a minute, I thought we were going to talk about viruses.
We are. Same thing. So when we had the test kits, we had that was the data, and then we had lagging indicators like hospital admissions and ER visits. That was people had developed COVID and then went to the hospital because the symptoms became so strong.
Right.
But there's early indicators too, and that so people shed the virus if they have COVID in their stools. And so an early indicator is monitoring the wastewater from cities, and then they can detect for levels of virus in the wastewater.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, are there some ways that we can prevent getting a respiratory virus, or is it just a foregone conclusion? It's that season, everybody's going to get it?
No, you can be smart about it. So again, one thing that's still very much important is wash your hands. Just hand hygiene when you're out and about, and so that when you're not bringing anything home and touching your face. If you're sick, stay home. So that you're not spreading your germs anywhere. Also, stay up to date on your vaccines. Flu vaccine is a seasonal vaccine that changes every fall season. COVID right now is just it's just one dose now you don't have to go back and make up your series if you weren't up to date. And it's been formulated to really go against the current variant that's out there. So
I'm glad you talked about stay home if you're sick. I was reading some data the other day about the millions and millions of people that will not ask for sick leave, that will go to work sick. And here, you're the expert, let's just tell it like it is. Don't go to work sick, right?
It's that basic. Just keep your stuff close to home and close to you, and so you're not spreading it to anybody else.
Where can folks get vaccinated?
Well, Forsyth County Department of Public Health, we offer a vaccine. We have a flu vaccine and COVID vaccine 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You can come over. It's a walk-in clinic for COVID and flu vaccine. And
Is it expensive?
It's free.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you do that. And do you need to make an appointment? Because you say walk in. I mean,
Right, it is a walk-in clinic. You can just show up at the department from 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Wednesday. Thursday
Okay.
we have long hours, 8:30 to 7:30. Friday just half day, 8:30 to noon.
is there a particular website or something people can go to just to sort of keep up with what you guys are doing from your department?
The Forsyth County Health and Human Services webpage, and then look for health services and then immunizations.
Okay.
Or Facebook.
Okay. Maura, I appreciate it. I appreciate your expertise and all you're doing to track things and keep us healthy. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Jim. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
The Forsyth County Commissioner's Special Appropriations Funding application opens Monday, January 29th and ends Monday, February 26th. The limited budget for appropriations is open to nonprofits who provide social, artistic, cultural, or economic development services for Forsyth County residents. Emphasis should be on a specific amount requested and on new services that will be provided. For assistance, contact Aisha Carter at 336-703-2686 or carteri2@forsyth.cc.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and this is kind of a neat segment. Well, for many reasons. You're going to find out from our special guest what she has to talk about, but she was also on our very first program. So this is sort of our anniversary, so welcome back.
Thanks.
April Bowman, Associate Extension Agent with North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, and well, I guess it would be appropriate to say what's new since we were on together.
Yes, and we've actually started 2 new projects since we've last been
Okay.
here. The first is our 4-H rabbit project.
The Rabbit
The
Project.
rabbit project. And so we're not selling rabbits, but youth that have rabbits or maybe need help purchasing a rabbit and knowing how to care for one
Right.
can sign up to show that rabbit. Our show's going to be in May. But we want people to go ahead and register before March because we're going to do one of those workshops to help you find out what
So you
need
can,
to
now
do
this
to
can
show
be a
your
pet rabbit you have at home. And
Absolutely.
anybody, can anybody do this? Just sign up and bring their rabbit?
So yes, any school age youth, ages 5 to 18, we are concentrating in the North Central Extension District. That's a 20-county area that goes all the way from Durham to Ashe County.
Wow.
So definitely includes Forsyth.
But where are you going to hold this massive thing?
So we are actually going to hold it at our extension office behind the airport on Fairchild Road.
Wow, okay, a rabbit show. Okay. Now you mentioned that you have another big thing going on that
Yes.
also has to do with a 4-legged creature.
It does. So we have started a dog project for the North Central Extension District. Last year was our inaugural year, and we had 77 entries in our artistic expressions competition.
Now you're losing me. I know about a rabbit show. Now we're sort of talking about competitions for dogs, but when you see these things from the Westminster or whatever, that's a whole. Now you're saying what they're being judged on?
Well, so we have 2 things basically. Right now we are taking entries in artistic expression. So if you have a young person that is an artist, this is actually drawn with pencils.
This was a drawing?
This was a drawing.
I don't
This
know
was
if
our
Jeff,
grand
hold it right
champion
there. I don't know if
last
Jeff
year.
can see this or not. That is neat.
So this is a copy of,
Well,
the
sure,
picture.
yeah.
But we have 3D entries that can be
Hold on.
entered.
Is that a dog?
That's a dog.
It's a green and orange. That's sort of avant-garde, expressionism type
Yes,
thing.
yes. We have mosaic. Kids can sew stuff, a dog bed, a
So
dog
this on the
toy.
table here, he's not going to go to the bathroom on this, is he?
No, I'm afraid not.
This is, so this dog is, somebody could make a little bed and,
Yeah, enter that in the sewing contest. So that's our first contest.
Right,
we
right.
have the 8 different categories that they can enter.
they're not actually bringing dogs, they're bringing
Right.
artistic expressions. Okay, all right.
Yes,
And then,
and the youth can enter those in their own county.
Okay.
And their county agent can get them to us for judging.
Okay.
Or they can bring them directly to our office here in Winston-Salem.
all right,
And we're gonna judge those
Okay.
across the district and pick our top prizes, and those winners will be announced in June.
And then what
so
else?
those entries are due May 20th.
all right. And then you said something else was going on.
Well,
with
we are planning to do a dog show this summer where youth can bring their dogs
that. All right,
and kind of do the Westminster thing where they lead the dogs and we'll evaluate them on obedience.
and if you're really good, you could actually win the expression part and win the dog show part.
You could.
See, there you go.
But you
I'm
know,
entering this, Jeff.
Maybe your dog came from the shelter. Maybe your dog is a rescue. So
Right.
we're gonna have costume classes where you can dress up your dog.
Wow.
We're gonna have event course where you can make your dog go through tunnels. So,
Right. I just
Yeah.
think that's great. Now, how can folks learn more about 4-H in general? Is there a particular website that people can go to?
So if you go to the Forsyth County government website, the forsyth.cc, 4-H is part of cooperative extension.
Okay.
So if you're looking for 4-H on the county website, you probably won't find it, but you find cooperative extension, which is our
Cooperative
parent
Extension.
company, parent department, then you can find us. But we have a Facebook page. On our county webpage is a calendar of events,
Right.
news stories. There is a news story there that will tell you how to join 4-H and
Okay.
enroll in 4-H. Will help you register for the dog competitions
All right.
as well as the rabbit show.
If you have a rabbit and a dog, you can get in both of them.
There you go.
All right.
You can, absolutely.
I tell you, April, you've always got interesting things to talk about. Thanks for all you're doing.
Well, you're welcome.
All right.
Enjoy it.
We'll be right back after this.
Do you like staying up late? If so, we have the perfect position for you.
Ready to make a difference while the world is sleeping.
Join our team. The safety of others in your control.
We are one team.
Your legacy starts here.
Starting pay up to $68,000. So come visit us at gofcsonc.org.
So, I keep hearing how things are getting back to normal. Really? When am I back to normal? Is this normal? Was this ever normal? Then I figured out. So much has changed. No wonder nothing feels normal. But here I am, still standing. A brand new edition of me. For some great tips on finding your new normal, visit yourlifeyourvoice.org. You look familiar.
Back now for Forsyth County Connections, and let's spend the next few minutes talking about bees, shall we? Bees, that's right. Different kind of, the kinds that can sting you, but they don't always sting you. Our special guest knows all about bees. Rebecca Krapps is Extension Agent for Natural Resources and Environmental Systems under North Carolina State University system, and we appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Why are honeybees important? Why is the conservation crucial for the overall health of our community? So sort of address that, because people say, well, bees, what do they do? Why is it important?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's several reasons. The first reason primarily being pollination. We actually have thousands of different pollinators in our community. Today we're talking specifically about honeybees, which happens to also be the state of North Carolina insect. Honeybees are responsible for pollinating approximately 1/3 of the food that we eat. So another way of thinking of that is we have bees to thank for 1 in every 3 bites of food that we take.
And we're not just talking about honey.
Right. Just our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 1/3 of the bites we take, we can thank honeybees for that.
Wow, I mean, that's I never really thought of it in those terms. Now, what products or services do bees provide that have a positive impact on the economy itself?
So the first one, of course, that everyone thinks about is honey.
Right.
Honey actually is approximately a $3.2 million industry each year in the U.S. Of course, it's delicious, in the wintertime in a warm cup of tea.
And it's good for you.
And it's very good for you. It actually has a lot of antioxidants, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. Honey is actually also commonly used as an antibiotic. It can be used as an antibacterial, an antiseptic. So it has a lot of important uses outside of just...
Are you kidding? I mean, it can be an antibiotic with it. Oh, that's neat. Yeah. That's neat. Now, tell me, let's talk about the Beekeepers Association, the Forsyth County Beekeepers Association. What's the mission of that?
So the Forsyth County Beekeepers Association it's a volunteer association. Currently, they have close to 400 active members.
Wow.
Some are beekeepers themselves. Some are simply interested in beekeeping. Others are interested in potentially becoming beekeepers one day. They do meet monthly out at the Forsyth County Agricultural Building. They have a social time. They have a potluck, which I can personally testify is some of the best food you might get in Winston-Salem on any given day.
And 1 in 3 bites of that food is
attributed to honeybees.
See,
absolutely.
I was listening. See, Jeff doesn't think I listened to. All right. So anyway, now what if somebody wants to be a beekeeper? What are the responsibilities of a beekeeper? Because when you talk about traditional types of pets, a dog or a cat, the father or mother will say, "Now look, you got to be old enough to take care of this. There's a responsibility. You want to teach kids." What's the responsibility of being a beekeeper?
So actually very similar, offering them a place to live in your bee yard or your apiary, having hives, those hives providing them with safety, so that's part of it. Keeping an eye on their health. There are a number of bee diseases that can be problematic. Beekeepers will open their hives, inspect them, look for signs of those diseases, and provide treatment. Also feeding them at different times during the year. We don't necessarily think of needing to feed bees.
What do you mean feed bees?
Yeah, so there's times of year where there are fewer flowers blooming, so bees don't have as readily of a source of food available. It might mean providing them with pollen patties or a direct source of sugar. Also when they're preparing for winter. Bees don't forage as much during the winter, except on warmer days.
Right.
And so
Neither do I, but I mean, that's a whole other time. What is bee school?
So Bee School is a course offered by the Forsyth County Beekeeper Association. It's a 5 in-person class, online hybrid course that covers the history of beekeeping, the biology of bees, and also best practices for beekeeping. It's a great program because it provides not just the classroom learning, but hands-on demonstrations, and every student has the option of being paired with a mentor. So they can actually go out and get their hands on hives and learn what it means.
Well, maybe somebody watching says, well, you know, this is neat. I may not want to be a beekeeper, but what can I do to help preserve and conserve and help with the bee population? What can I as an individual do?
Absolutely. The biggest thing that anyone can do is to create a bee-friendly landscape. That may mean planting flowers that are beneficial for honeybees to pollinate. They actually prefer flatter flowers or flowers that they can walk into. They have a shorter tongue than some other pollinators.
Right.
So planting flowers, coneflowers, asters are good options. Gardening is another one. There are plants that most people would grow in gardens, things like melons, cucumbers, squash, that honeybees specifically like to pollinate, so that's another one. Having sources of water available. Another is being aware of spraying chemicals, not spraying them, if it's necessary, not spraying them when a flower is blooming.
That's good advice. You know, that's great. That's some great advice. Hey, speaking of advice, before we run out of time, is there a particular website people can go to learn more?
So the Forsyth County Beekeeper Association does host their own website. They can also go through Cooperative Extension, and we can get them connected with the Beekeeper Association.
Rebecca, thanks for all that information.
Absolutely. Thank
you.
you.
Okay, we'll be right back after this.
Feeling unsafe? Help is one tap away with Urgent Alert. Upload your insurance card and your medical consent form so your family can speak to medical staff. Download your emergency now while it's still free, before stuff happens.
We worked our whole lives to save, just to spend it on time. With these two, filling buckets of memories. This is what makes life, life. Yet how much of life are we willing to miss out on? Because even mild hearing loss doubles our risk of dementia. Yes, dementia. Good hearing health is essential to staying engaged and doing what we love. Hear well and stay vital. Get a hearing health check every year.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections as we get ready to wrap up the show. Our final guest has been with us like 4 million times. We always bring him in here to update us on what's going on with Parks and Recreation, so we grabbed him today and he agreed to come back. Chris Weavil, Director of Forsyth County Parks and Recreation. Good to see you again, sir.
Good to be here.
All right, now remind us what the Belews Lake Park project is and bring us up to speed on how it came about to begin with. What is it? How did it come about?
Well, about 7 years ago, in 2016, a group of county leaders was put together to find a suitable location for our proposed Forsyth County Ag Park. We found a 216-acre parcel in along Belews Lake that was owned by Duke Energy. Unfortunately, that site just wasn't suited for the ag park. So we got to thinking, would it be a good site for a park? Okay. So we moved along with that line of thinking, contacted Duke Energy, who owned the property. Long story short, 2020, we ended up purchasing the property, and now we're kind of into construction.
All right. Now, if you sort of had to break it up, what are the current and future plans for Belews Lake Park? Let's talk about currently what's going on.
Well, currently we're under construction with phase 1. We're working with a design build team of Bar Construction. They're out of Greensboro.
Okay.
Stimmel Associates is a landscape design firm here in Winston-Salem. The project itself was totally all master planning for the 216 acres. It was construction documents for phase 1 and construction of phase 1.
What all happens in a phase 1? I mean, I know I don't understand this stuff, but just so I can understand it, what?
Well, we had, in the master planning, we had 3 initial phases that were identified. So phase 1 is going to be about 22 acres. We're going to have a 200-person picnic facility. We're going to have a 1,000 square foot restroom. We're going to have an accessible fishing dock. We're going to have about 3,500 linear feet of trail along the river, along the lake, I'm sorry. We'll have about 1,500 feet of paved, accessible trail that'll get you down to the dock, and then all the site work, roadways, paving, utilities, you name it, that go with that.
Well, it sounds like you're sort of planning for to have something for everybody of all ages, right?
It is. We're a passive recreational department. We don't have any. There's no active sports, but I mean, you know, being outside is active. Walking on nature trails and things along those lines. But that's what we do.
Now, I know I'm getting forgetful, but didn't you just say something about a fishing dock?
Yes, sir.
All right, so what now, are people gonna have to pay a fee to go down and walk down in there and fish, or get a fishing license, or how does that work?
No fees associated with entry into the park. If you're going to fish, you've got to follow all of North Carolina state fishing regulations and laws. We don't keep up with those. That's the state. But
I thought you'd be out there policing it. You have a little stand. You would.
State gets their money for that.
When will phase 1 be completed, and when will people actually be able to go in there and do things?
Well, phase 1 was actually slated for completion next month. But due to a few supply chain issues and the weather, that's going to be pushed back until probably sometime in early summer of 2024.
All right, so let's say it's now summer and I go in there. Is there anything I won't be able to do, or can you just walk the trails and do whatever you want to do?
Once we open the gates, you'll be able to access all of the things I just said that will be there in phase 1.
All right. What is on a personal standpoint, what's your favorite aspect of Belews Lake Park?
Well, as you kind of hear in real estate, for me, the largest aspect is location, location, location. Belews Lake Park is a 216-acre park on Belews Lake. It's the first public park on Belews Lake. If it wasn't for the donations of the state and for the county, we wouldn't have a park there. It'll be the 3rd park that we own on a large body of water. We've got Kernsville Lake Park, and we've also got Tanglewood Park, which is on the Yadkin River. Belews Lake Park will be our third park on a large body of water. So location, location, location.
I think that's great. And now, what is the Parks and Recreation website? How can people find out more information
you
about?
can go to the county's website, forsyth.cc, and look up the Parks Department, or you can go to forsyth.cc /Parks and Rec.
All right, speaking of websites and things, the whole program, you notice we have this monitor behind us, and it says connectwith.forsythcountync.gov, and that's how you can go to watch some episodes of Forsyth County Connections. And I think there's some all through YouTube, and there are lots of ways to watch, which I hope you will do. Anyway, as we wrap up, our thanks again for being in the new studio. Ed McNeil, our executive producer, Jeff Fabrizio, who is our director, and they put this together for us. And of course, a shout out to Dudley Watts, county manager. So for all of us here, Forsyth County Connections, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next time.